Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be attempting less captions and more talking to describe what's going on. So I'm doing a whimsical mushroom here, and this is going to start with a 4-inch long 2x2 block. It's going to look like these little guys. We're done. I like to keep things consistent with previous carvings, so I'm going to use this guy as a guide real quick so I can remember how far down the top of that mushroom comes. And it looks like it is about 1 3/4 of an inch. So that's 3/4 down. I'm going to take that mark all the way around the block. Now that our line is in place, we're going to put in a very rough shape of a mushroom. Take a look at the overlay on the left if you need to. For every carving, I like to remove all those hard corners. They make it a lot easier on your hands when you're holding a thicker block, especially with a 2-inch by 2-inch block. Now we can start cutting out the meat of the mushroom. Here underneath the cap, we're going to carve up to the cap. We're going to have the cap come slightly down, just a little bit of a V cut here. And just continue that all the way around. Now that we have those big chunks of the corners taken out, we can start slowly working our way in with some inclined V cuts here as we come along that line. Remember to take your time. You don't need to take out big chunks. Little chunks at a time will do, little slices at a time. It's called whittling for a reason. Just going to whittle away at it. Now that we have a very rough shape at the base of the cap, we can work on the cap itself and rounding that out. I'm going to start taking these corners off here. Notice I'm using a fulcrum cut, is what I call it, where I rotate the blade on my thumb. Allows me to get more of the wood out. So I go around these corners here lightly, using my left thumb as the engine for the blade. Allows me to get deeper. Sometimes you see people do really big cuts and get a lot of wood out at once, right? They're not pushing the blade through with their right hand. They're using their left hand as a fulcrum across that thumb to get a lot of wood out at once. Right here, watch as the blade rotates up from that thumb, right? That thumb is the fulcrum point, and you can just whittle a lot of wood off at once. I'm going to show you again here how it works. You can get a whole lot of wood, a lot of chunks. You can do it quickly. I'm not working hard to do this. It's not straining my hands because that thumb is a fulcrum. It's like a lever. Archimedes said, give me a lever long enough and I shall move the world, right? Same principle. It is specifically my tendency to use that cut which keeps me putting this black finger wrap on that thumb, because that thumb gets a workout. Looks like we have a good octagon shape there. We're looking pretty even, maybe a little bit more from there or from here. Get it rounded out. We'll start taking off those octagon corners now around as we go. We're going for a cylinder shape for that cap. I'm just working around the base of the mushroom cap right now, trying to straighten it out. Get that base of the mushroom straight along the cap edge right there as well. When it comes to learning to carve from someone virtually like this, the biggest lesson I learned is that you have to pay attention to your own carving, because it's going to tell you where you need to carve next. I'm looking at my carvings constantly thinking, okay, I need to correct here, I need to correct there. So you'll see me bounce around a little bit as I pay attention to what's happened with it and notice things I didn't notice when I made the cut. And so I make additional cuts to compensate. Now we can start working on the base of that mushroom, taking out those big corners of that lever cut again, the fulcrum cut, and work on getting it cylindrical in shape as well. Flat blades cut flat planes, which is why, even though I'm going for a cylinder, you start off going for an octagon, because you're going to cut a flat plane no matter how you do things with a knife like that. So we cut it in an octagon, and then we just start taking off the corners, smoothing it out, and making that cylinder as we go. You don't go for the cylinder right off the bat, straight away. Now that we have a roughly octagonal shape, we can start making it more cylindrical, and it will allow us to keep it more lined up, because we went for the octagonal shape first. Now I'm going to start whittling away on the stem here, bringing the stem in up underneath the cap of the mushroom. Just going to be taking away chunks, whittling away at it as I work my way around. I always like having a reference image, so I'm going to keep that overlay on the left up for a while so you can review it as needed. As I do this, you're going to see the underside of that cap starts to look rather nasty. Looks rough as we keep making these stop cuts along the stem. We can fix that all later, and we'll smooth it out and make it look nice and pretty. I know it's silly, but I always get pleased with a big pile of chips as I go. Now I'm going to start working on that cap. You can round off a mushroom cap in several ways. The two in the back there have two different styles of mushroom cap. Pick whichever style you like. Just using that fulcrum cut, taking off chunks along that corner. Still just removing wood along the top of that cap, bringing it in towards the middle. Working my way around slowly but surely. Now I got that mostly round top and a nice steep incline at the top. I like to have that sharp turn up here. I'll start working on that here in a moment. And we'll do that with paring cuts. Like so. Some folks might think, oh no, you're cutting towards your thumb. But really, I'm not cutting towards the thumb. The thumb is in the direction of the blade, but I'm keeping that thumb down here out of the way of the blade. And I'm just moving the thumb to move the carving. I'm not moving the blade, I'm moving the thumb, moving the carving. And the thumb is already out of the way, I'm just keeping it out of the way of the knife blade. Using that paring cut, I'm just doing small, very controlled cuts. I can do them quickly, but they're still small cuts, nothing too big here. Lots of little chips coming off. There we go, that mushroom cap's really coming together now. Now we're gonna put a little bit of a curve around here. Let that base be wider, go in further and then come back out towards the top. It's a slight curve. And look at the mushroom right now, I can tell that that stem is too thick and I need to bring this in further. I don't want the stem getting too thin because I want to be able to put a face on it, so I want to still have enough room to do that. But if you don't want to put a face on your mushroom, you can go ahead and make that stem as thin or wide as you want to. It's up to you, it's your carving. I hope you guys like this music choice for this video because this is really just soothing to me. Now I'm going to round off the bottom of that mushroom, put a little curve to it. That way when it sits down it looks like it's not just sitting completely flat. Alright, now I'm just bouncing around a little bit, taking out some rough edges here and there, trying to let my carving tell me what I need to do to smooth it out, make it look better. There we go. That's looking pretty good, but we need to clean up the underside of that cap now. I told you we'd get to it. It looked pretty nasty. Let's take off all those blade marks and those stop cuts. Give it a nice smooth underside of that cap so we can cut our gills in later. There we go. It's a solid looking mushroom if I ever saw one. Alright, now I'm just going to look around here for where I can draw the face at. I think this side right here is good. Put a couple big old eyes on there. This one will be a little bit bigger. And then a little smile right there. A simple face, but nothing wrong with simple, right? I'm going to use my rough out knife to do this detail work because, as other carvers have said, at the tip of every rough out knife is a detail knife. So even if you only have one knife, you can still do the work that you need to get done with this knife. A detail knife is simply less cumbersome on small work. This knife, you have to be more careful to keep the blade from touching other parts of the carving that you don't want it to. This large blade's hard to work with, but we can still use that tip and get in there and cut out a little bit. We're setting the eyes themselves in back against the skin, so we're just going to take out a little bit up to the edges of where we cut in the eyes, all the way around, and clean up our cuts. Taking out that high ridge in the middle of the eye too to smooth it out a little bit. Now I'm just taking a little time to clean up these cuts, clean up the edges, smooth things out. Each cut you do, just double check it, make sure you did it right, make sure it's as clean as you want it to be. If it's not, just go back in there and fix it. Don't settle for good enough, go for better every time. Now I'm finally satisfied with the eye, so I'll go ahead and start on this mouth. And I'm not following exactly what the mouth I drew. As I did this, I think, man, I'm just gonna go a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's your carving, you do it however you like to. The shape of this mouth is kind of a curved V cut because I'm cutting up to it and then cutting down to that initial cut as well, just to give the mouth a little bit of depth. I think it's coming together pretty nice. We're going for simple on this mushroom, not anything complicated, nothing complex. Simple face, simple smile, just a simple little smirk. Just like that, our face is done. Now every mushroom has gills, and those are those little lines like you see here on this guy. You can either do these or not do these, but just to show you how they're done, I'm going to go ahead and do them with a V-tool that I have. You can do it with a knife, but it is more complicated. It's just V-cuts with a knife. But we're going to use a V-tool here. It's a little bit quicker on me. And we're just going to randomize this pattern. Just lines coming in from the outside into the base of the stem along the other side of the cap. And some of them won't be all the way through, some of them will be. Some of them will be parallel, some of them won't be. Just randomize it a little bit and don't have a continuous pattern. Just change it up. Here I'm just going back in there real fast with the knife to clean up all the mess left behind from that V-gouge along the base of the stem there, base of the cap. Clean up some of that stuff. Nice and easy. Now he turned out pretty well for a simple mushroom. That will smooth out right there. I think we're done with the knife. Yeah. Set that down and it's time to start painting. You'll notice the carving has changed color a little bit because off camera I took him to the sink and washed him off under water with a little bit of soap just to clean him up, soak him down. I feel like it does better when painting if the carving is wet. I don't use BLO prior to painting, just a little bit of water. Picking out my colors, we got black and white for the eyes, white also for the spots on top of the cap. We're probably going to go with purple, I think. Mix 2 colors of purple. We've got a wisteria and a purple rain. And we'll use black and regular white, like I said, for the eyes and for the white for the cap. This is what we're used for the base of the stem. And we need, what color we need? Oh, some brown for underneath the top of the cap. Some chestnut. Right there for those gills. I don't use fancy paints. I just use whatever I find at Hobby Lobby or Walmart whenever I need a color. When it comes to watering down paints, everyone talks about watering them down, and I do too, but I don't do it the same way. I'll just dip the paint, a little water in there, and apply it right to the carving. And if I need more water, I just get more water from them. Water jar right there, and I'll just keep painting like so, mixing it on the carving itself. Does it save me a lot of time? I don't know. Is it easier? I don't know. It is for me, and that's the way I like to do it. Everyone does things a little bit differently. You're going to find what works for you. Just find what works for you and do it that way. I do enjoy watering it down enough that you can see the wood grain through the paint. So I'm still going for the same effect that I hear other people talking about. Now I got the base all painted up. I am impatient, so I'm going to wipe my hands here. And then I'm going to get my blow dryer out and dry the carving so I can keep on going. Now that he's dry to the touch, I can go ahead and move on. Now for the cap, I'm going to go with 2 different colors, 2 different kinds of purple. A wisteria, lighter pink purple for the bottom of the cap, and a darker purple, purple rain, for the top. I have not watched any videos of people mixing colors where they try to transition from one color to another. I've just seen the effect. I like it. This is the way that I've tried to do it. I don't know if this is the fastest way to do it. I don't know if it's the right way or the best way to do it, but this has been the way that I've done it. Again, mixing my water and paint together. I'm just going to go along the base and get that bottom set with a lighter pink purple. And once I do that, I'll just get some more water and kind of transition it down, thin it out as I go. And then we'll start with the dark purple on the top afterwards. Just adding more and more water to thin it out. Trying to blend it in a little bit. Kind of real thin as it goes further up. And we'll start putting some darker purple on the cap. And then once we get that cap nice and dark, we'll work that down to a lighter purple and try to blend them in together. See how successful we are. It's starting to look pretty good, but we're just going to keep going because I think that in the middle here it's showing too much wood grain. Like it's too much wood coloring. I just want to get that purple in there a little bit thicker. So I keep watering it down and trying to blend them together as best we can. I think that's probably as good as we're going to get it. So we're going to get the blow dryer out and dry this off so we can continue. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and try to paint those gills, that chestnut color. There we go. And paint those up real quick. For the gills, I'm not watering it down. This is just full regular acrylic chestnut brown. I'm just gonna be careful about getting to my edges and paint the gills up. All right, with those gills painted up, he looks pretty good. But you may notice those gills are a little too dark, right? Too dark on their own, but we want to have layers. So I'm gonna get out my oval mop brush here, and we're gonna dry brush a little bit on those gills with the same color we used in the base. So I wet the paintbrush down a little slightly, dry it off, and now I'm just gonna put paint on there, then try to wipe most of it off, and then dry brush right through here along the tops of those ridges, which leaves the valleys looking nice and dark. The tops of the ridges are nice and light, a little bit lighter. A nice effect. Gives more depth to the painting. Now that base is rather plain, and you can leave it like that if you like it like that. The color's nice and flat, but I don't like that. So I'm going to use some black here. Small amount of black over here off the side, and I'm going to water it down on the tray because I'm going to make a wash for shadowing. I'm going to dirty this carving up on the base. And it's going to look nasty. And you'll be like, why is he doing this? What is happening right now? I agree with you. You're right. Look at that. That's terrible. It's too black. It's terrible. What are we doing? But trust me, this is going to allow us to get to an effect that I like, because after we shadow this whole thing, all under this mushroom base here, all under the cap from top to bottom, we shadow the whole thing. Then we're going to come back and dry brush it with the same color as under it. And that's going to put this texture to the base of the mushroom that I really like. It's the same kind of thing that I've done on the ghosts that I've done. And I think it looks just fantastic. So we're going to do that here. And I probably shouldn't use black for this. I probably should use brown. Probably look more dirt-like. That's what we're going for, though. We're making it look a little dirty, you know. And some of you may have noticed that a full half of this video is painting. I spend as much time painting the carving as I do on carving it, because I want to go for the right effect, make it look right. And I think there's just, the better you do at this stage, even a terrible carving can look really neat. All right, now we got that done. We're going to go back to the same color we had as the base, and we're going to put more of that in there. Grab my oval mop, 3/4 inch paintbrush, and to dry brush this, I'm going to take it and do it a little bit better this time than I did last time. This will be able to see it a little bit. I'm going to wipe most of this paint off that I got in there, so it's just barely on the brush. I want to see it's not leaving much on the towel. I come over here and dry brush it on there. We're hitting those peaks and the valleys as much as we can. We're not getting a complete painting. There's a lot of it you can see through, and you can see that dirtiness underneath, and it really gives the paint a texture to the carving. I mean, it's just a really neat effect. I really enjoy it, and I hope you guys like it too. But you'll be able to tell when you see it done. Now I'm going to dry brush that cap a little bit too. Put some of that paint on those cuts. Really highlights those cuts, and I think that looks just fantastic. Now we're going to get out some white paint, and we're going to paint the dots on the top of the mushroom. Put some white speckles on there. I use these painting styluses that I got off of Amazon. I think they're fantastic for painting nice circles. And I'm not going for any particular pattern with where I put the circles or the dots. I'm actually looking to not have a pattern. I'm going to try to randomize this as I go around the carving. Just put them in different spots randomly. After I get done with this bigger dots, I'll go with some smaller dots as well. Fill in the areas. Then grab a smaller stylus so I can do those smaller dots I talked about. Too small. And this one will do. Just some smaller dots all around the carving in various spots. And back to the blow dryer. Now I'm going to grab one of my precision paint brushes so I can paint the eyes. Paint the white background here. Nice and gently, just being careful not to get outside of the eye, just the inside of the eye. And I'll use my hair dryer to dry the paint so I can put in the pupils as well. Alright, now I'm going to grab another one of these styluses and we're going to put some black dots for the eyes. I'll make sure we do it off the same side on each side so it gives kind of a direction that it's looking. But at the top right here, looks like you're looking up and to the left. Once this black dries, we'll put a small dot of white right in the middle. And doing that really makes the eyes come alive. It's fantastic. Just very carefully, a small bit of white in the top right part of each of those black dots. Just slightly off center to the top right. Gives the little direction to where he's looking. And that's it, folks. He's all done. Tell me that don't look like a cute little mushroom, huh? Really appreciate that you watched this far, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, folks. Check me out on Facebook and Instagram. Follow me there. You'll see what I'm going to be posting soon and be able to keep up with things. Thanks for watching.